All right, get your Pedialyte, get your aspirin, get your coffee.
Get your breakfast. Get a greasy sausage sandwich.
It is time for your Saturday morning hangover cure. We can't help you tomorrow. You go back out and do it again tonight, then only God and church can save you on Sunday. But we'll help you through your Friday night hangover. It is Saturday morning, April the 15th, 2023. It is time for Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the weekend edition.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height. And always, we start off with rock and roll because, as ELO once sang, rock and roll is king.
Exactly.
So we have our featured album review for you this week, a recommendation from the Conquistador.
Recommended by Spotify.
And that would be The Cold Stairs. The album is Voices. Now, this band we've discussed in the past when we were reviewing the song Got No Right.
Yep.
We talked about how they've been around for a while. They are a two-piece. Now they've expanded to a three-piece, bringing in a bass player as a permanent member of the band. Blues,
yep.
70s
based blues. Very easy to listen to.
So let's go at it this way. First off, best songs. What do you think?
Best songs. My favorites, the top three. First one, Nothing But the Blues.
Agree completely.
Got No Right, which is my favorite.
I think I like Nothing But the Blues better, but
it's close, like 1A, 1B.
Yeah, they're 1, 2 for me.
Yeah.
But definitely top 2.
Yeah. And then I really liked the last one, The Ghost, which is really a haunting song. Ha ha, pun intended. But there's just something there that just kind of hits you.
Yeah, it's a slower bluesy song. Very interesting and cool choice to close the album out.
Yeah.
Now
you had a couple of others that were up above.
Yeah, now I like the back-to-back track 8 and track 9, Waiting for the Rain Again, and Sinnerman. I thought both had really good guitar work, really good riffs.
Yes, those were the next two that I really enjoyed. The rest were kind of okay. The worst song that did not belong on the album, it just didn't fit, Sorry I Was Late.
And we agree on that.
Yeah. If that would have been gone, it would have been a much more solid album.
Yeah, we've talked about this with albums in the past. Obviously, when you're sequencing an album, you're trying to put your best foot forward. You're trying to start things off with arguably one of your best songs. But Sorry I Was Late comes right in the middle of the album. It is a momentum killer for this album.
Yeah, it does. It just kind of brings it to a screeching halt.
Yep. Now, track 4, Lights Out. They directly ripped off a guitar riff. You think it's Clapton.
To me, it sounded like it had some Clapton-esque roots to it.
You got to do a side-by-side. Get on Spotify when you get a chance and do a side-by-side with Lights Out, and then go through the first minute. You have to go through the first minute of James Gang, Funk number 49. It's not the opening riff in Funk number 49. It's the secondary, the bridge
into
riff.
The chorus.
Yep. So the beginning riff for Lights Out from The Cold Stairs, guarantee you, it is completely and totally ripped off from the bridge riff in the James Gang.
Okay.
It drove me crazy. Crazy. Third time through on Lights Out, I finally figured it out.
Yeah. So, but, we talked about Got No Right having that Black Keys, but not being pretentious, and also Fabulous Thunderbirds feel to it.
Yeah, that's a good call too. Yeah.
We also had Allman Brothers feel. Throw That Stone to me really felt Allman Brothers in
See,
there.
yeah, I had that for the second song, Come For Me. I thought that was definitely echoes of the Allman Brothers, and then I thought It's Heavy definitely had a Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of guitar riff
Yes,
to it.
very much so.
But yeah, I agree with you. Very solid tracks, some very mediocre tracks, one bad song. That's the sad thing, is if you take Sorry I Was Late out, I think the album would have been better. This is another album, by the way, that I think could have used a little bit of judicious editing in terms of you didn't have to go 13 songs. I think it would have been a stronger album with 10 or 11.
Completely agree. 10 or 11 on this could have bumped it up to a 3 Frenzy album. As it stands, I can only go 2.5.
I agree with you completely. Sometimes you've got to trim the fat. You don't have to. I appreciate the effort trying to give us as much as possible in terms of content. But if you look at an album as a creative concept where you want it to be solid from beginning to end, less sometimes is more.
Exactly.
So 2.5 Frenzies from both Dave and I. Recommend.
Yes, this is worth listening to.
Recommend it. It's just not going to be in the running for album of the year.
No.
But definitely worth more plays. I will listen to it again. Very similar to last week with the Black Star Riders.
Yeah, they're in the rotation.
Yep.
So
now a band that's always been in our rotation for decades is Metallica.
Yep. And after listening to 72 Seasons, the 4th song off the upcoming 72 Seasons, this, if it continues the way we are, could be in the running for album of the year.
Yeah, 4 songs in, very solid 4 songs, getting better with each and every song.
Yes, this one is the top of the 4 so far.
Nice melding of old school Metallica and the accessible Metallica that I grew to love, a la the Black Album, where it's long, like something you would get off of Injustice for All. It's 7+ minutes with the tempo changes, the intensity, but the songwriting is still catchy and riff-driven and hook-driven enough where you don't get bored with it. It doesn't feel like a long, draggy 7+ minute song.
Yeah, this one just flows through it. Like you said, it does not feel like a 7-minute song.
Yep. And for next week, we rarely do this. We don't usually review a single and then jump into the album, but
the timing on this one
happened to fall this way. Next week, our featured album review will be, in fact, 72 Seasons from Metallica. As you listen to this, it is already out. So hop on Spotify, listen to it.
Check it out. Hit the Facebook page. Share your feelings on it with us.
There you go.
Give us some feedback. For 72 Seasons, solid 3.5.
Definitely 3.5 Frenzies. Again, as you mentioned, if the quality stays at this level for the rest of the tracks, we could be looking at a contender for album of the year. As it is, the song 72 Seasons,
it's in the running for song of the year.
Right. Might not quite be up there with Rise for me, or
no, but it could make our top list.
We do 5 every year.
So. It's potentially.
Yep.
So you never know.
Very positive for Metallica as we head into the full album again next week. Concept album. We'll see if they can actually keep it pieced together. If there's some kind of a coherent idea, theme that we can grasp onto. Of course, they've already told us that 72 Seasons is about how the first 18 years of one's life is the formative,
mold you who you are,
the formative period for everything else that follows. So there you go.
All right, next song we have Pete Townsend, his first solo song in God, how long?
At least 2 decades. At least 2 decades, yeah.
Can't Outrun the Truth.
Now you got to take this song for what it is. You can't come into this expecting the Who. You can't come into this expecting some massive spectacle of rock and roll.
It hit, and I'm like, do we have Bad Seamstress Blues?
Yep, it does. It has.
It
that
starts
exact
off
same
with
riff.
come on. Seriously?
I am with you on that 110%. I heard the exact same thing you heard. So again, we've got somebody else. We talked about the Cold Stairs cribbing the James Gang, and Dave and I both heard the same thing here on Pete Townshend's new song, where he sounded like he was cribbing Cinderella.
Yep. But then it morphs. Would be almost
everything.
Johnny Cash, Hank Williams all over it.
It's folk, it's country, it's got strings in it, it's got harmonica in it, and it's barely 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's a real short.
It's basically it. I interpret it as Townshend, of course, obviously based on the lyrics. This lockdown is bringing me down. It's his rumination being stuck because
it's
of
his COVID song.
But then I think he's also trying to bring the whole mortality angle into it. And I shouldn't waste any more of my life because I've already wasted enough being locked down and not being able to do anything because of COVID. I kind of liked it.
It was kind of cool and catchy in a way.
It's not an overproduced epic Who song. It is a very understated tune.
It's one man's rant about being cooped up and realizing the limited things he was able to do, and he has so much that he still wants to do.
Right. So I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I still think it's a solid 2.5 frenzies.
Yeah, 2.5 is where it belongs.
On one level, it kind of feels like a little bit of a tossed-off song that he felt like he needed to do.
It was his venting.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what we do every week.
So, nice little ditty from Mr. Pete Townshend. Now, one sad bit of rock and roll news. And of course, this pops up every once in a while. We just recently had issues with Jack Blades of Night Ranger. Now news has come down that George Thorogood is undergoing a major medical procedure. They have had to cancel the rest of their spring tour. George Thorogood and the Destroyers. They are hoping with recuperation time, he will be ready to go again in July.
Thoughts and prayers go to George for a successful surgery and recovery.
Yeah. But when I hear serious medical condition requiring immediate surgery,
you're thinking bypass.
Something along those lines. Yeah, something along those lines, and that's scary. And again, I'm not going to go crazy if he's not back out on the road in July. His health is the number one most important thing. We were fortunate enough to see him here twice over the past couple years.
Yep.
So, in that sense, in that selfish sense, we're lucky that we got to see him. Kind of like when we saw Greg Allman years ago, the year before he passed. But it would be devastating, even though we know it's coming because it's coming for all of us. It would be devastating to lose the Delaware Destroyer. It would just be, another guy that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is not. George, no more bourbon, no more bourbon, no more scotch, no more beer.
Well,
except when you perform.
Well, maybe one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer.
We joke because we care.
We
care a lot about the great George Thorogood.
Yes, we do.
Now, next week we talked about albums.
Yep, 72 Seasons, Metallica.
But we have 2 songs as well for next week. The new song from Greta Van Fleet. Their new album is coming out here in a couple months. The first single is Meeting the Master. Good luck with that one, kids. I've
God
listened
help
to it
us.
a couple times, and I can tell you right now, I don't think you're going to get an overwhelmingly positive review from the maestro.
Yeah, I've given it an initial listen, and I'm tepid, very tepid. This is not the band that came out of the gates like a ball of fire.
Yeah, this is not the band that gave us From the Fires, that awesome EP/album with the Safari song and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we'll discuss that more next week as we also give you a recap of when we saw them in concert.
And then, of course, second single coming from Winger's new album, 7. Massive, epic 7+ minute track, just like we just reviewed with 72 Seasons with Metallica. Winger putting together an epic power ballad a la Nothing Else Matters, kind of, to me, is how I interpret this. I've listened to it a couple times. I love it. I think it's ambitious. I think it knocks it out of the park, but we will review it in full next week. It all comes back around.
There we go.
I hate to call it a power ballad because it is not sunny and happy. It is not. It is intense. It is not a lovey-dovey, love song.
Yeah. Ballads do not have to be lovey-dovey love songs.
Right. So, and again, this kind of plays into where Winger has been here over the last 20 years of their career after
where their songwriting has just exploded.
Well, they decided we don't have to be the hair metal pop guys that we were on the first 2 albums.
Yeah.
So
they are musically themselves and they excel.
Yep. A little bit darker, a little bit more intense, and I think the fan base has embraced it. I think Winger has shed the Stuart mockery from Beavis and Butthead.
Yes, they have.
Although when we saw them in concert years ago, it was still cool to see they were selling that shirt. They were embracing it. They were embracing the fun.
And you might as well.
Yep. All right. So we're going to go to Literary Frenzy here with the time we've got left in segment 1, because we've got a lot to discuss.
And you will know why here as I tell you about Gumshoe Rock. See, we got the segue tie-in. So, no, Gumshoe Rock by Rob Leiniger. This is the 4th installment of the Mort Angel PI series. Mort is a former IRS auditor who discovered he had a soul and could no longer work for the government, bilking old widows out of the last of their savings. So Mort has kind of become, by default, the recipient of severed body parts of the deceased. It's a knack he has. Don't ask, just go with it. So in this one, he gets the skull of missing IRS regional supervisor from Nevada, his former boss. The stripped down skull is dropped into the front seat of his girlfriend, fiance, Lucy's convertible. They slice it and drop the skull in. And from there, twists and turns and weird crap that happens to Mort. The guy's cursed. Women fawn all over him now that he's a PI, inexplicably. And he just stumbles and bumbles his way through because he's still a PI in training working for Ma, Clary, who has the detective agency. She's always threatening to fire him if he gets into trouble. Great banter back and forth. epic showdown with the bad guys that leads to a rocky conclusion. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, you'll have to read it. It's a Three Frenzy book. It's a fun little series.
Well, from what you've just told me, it sounds very fun. Sounds very cool. Crazy a little bit.
It is.
Over the
It's
top
nutsy,
and
cuckoo, over the top.
for all the
And he imagines he sees Mike Hammer and Mickey Spillane off in the corner
There
making
you
fun
go.
of him.
I was just
And he
gonna
says,
say.
"Screw you guys! I got the hottie right here."
I was gonna say for all of the more standard
He
procedurals
references
that
to
we
them periodically as things come up. He's like, "What would Spillane and Hammer do?"
yeah, for all of the more traditional stuff that we've read, whether it's Raymond Chandler, Ross McDonald, or more modern day, Jonathan Kellerman.
Yeah. No, this is some fun stuff. It's a little off the beaten path. I've grown to really enjoy these.
Should we tell the kids, speaking of our favorite, more traditional detectives, about the bad
The
news
bad news.
with the Spencer series?
Oh my God. What is the Spencer estate thinking?
Of course, Robert B. Parker, the great Robert B. Parker, has been gone for many, many years. He left behind 4 series, 3 within the Boston universe, the detectives in and around Boston, and then, of course, his separate Cole Hitch Western series.
Yep, which will have one coming out this year.
Which is still in the capable hands of Mr. Knott.
Yes.
But the other 3 series have been a little less stable. Now, the Spencer books, which of course were the books that drew me back in to reading.
Yeah.
When I read Taming a Seahorse, picked it up at the library in my mid-20s, it got me back into reading again. And I've read all the books. You've read all the books in the series.
Ace Atkins had picked up after Robert Parker passed away and has done a phenomenal job with everything. He's been true to the pacing, to the writing style, to the characters. Everything has been perfect.
It was obvious he did his research. We're not trying to disparage any other writers who step in to take over series, but it was obvious that Ace Atkins knew all the past books. He would bring in characters from past books, and it was like
he didn't miss a beat.
No beat was missed.
No, he knew the Spencer universe.
Right. Yes. And now, unfortunately, for some reason, I still have not found out why, Ace Atkins will no longer be writing the Spencer books, and unfortunately is going to go to the man who has been writing the Sonny Randall books and now the Jesse Stone books, and that would be one former sports writer, Mike Lupica,
who has also written a number of children's fiction books based on sports. It doesn't compute to me. I'm going into this one with great trepidation.
Yeah, and I'm behind on the Jesse Stone books. And the Jesse Stone books in particular have been very tumultuous in terms of they have shifted writers over and over and over again. I believe Lupica might be the 4th to be writing the Jesse Stone books since Parker passed away. So, again, it's a shame that you had a stable force behind the Spencer books.
The
after
flagship
the
series.
Right. And now you're going to basically let Mike Lupica run the entire gamut of all of these detectives based in and around Boston.
If he screws this one up, I'm going to have to be done.
Yeah, part of me wants to catch up on the Jesse Stone books just so I can read the last couple that he's done.
Just to see
what his style is like. But
we'll wait and see.
Yeah. We'll read it.
Maybe he'll surprise us.
we'll read it and we'll let you kids know when it comes out here at the end of the year. I believe it's November is the new Spencer book with Mike Lupica. So,
yep, we'll wait and see.
Yep. That's going to do it for segment 1. A little bit of rock and roll, little bit of reading for you. Segment 2, the long-awaited, yes, it's my fault, the long-awaited review of John Wick, Chapter 4. I will also have my review of
Are
Terrifier
you ready,
2.
John?
I mean, this is going to take up a lot of time reviewing this movie because there is so much to discuss. There will be a little time left over for us to talk about the trailer for The Marvels.
And if we don't, it's not a big loss.
No, we've got to do a public service and let people know.
We do. We owe it to our fans.
And like I said, I will review the latest blood and guts Terrifier movie. So all that's coming up. We'll also discuss the ridiculously popular Super Mario Brothers movie. In 5 days, 5 days already set the record for the most popular video game movie of all time. I just want to know why. That's all. We will discuss that and more right after a quick promo break. Kids, we will be right back. When your day of dealing with international intrigue is over and you've settled down in your Aston Martin, call up Sports Frenzy 2.0 on your phone or smart car stereo. Every Thursday, Kev Dave will take your mind off the megalomaniac who just had a laser pointed at your genitals with the best sports criticism around. And don't forget to listen to the Weekend Edition every Saturday so you can plan out your entertainment options with the femme fatale of your choice. Grab a martini, shaken, not stirred, and check out Frenzy, Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Grab your popcorn at Sports Frenzy 2.0, the Weekend Edition. Here as we record April 12th, 2023, dropping Saturday the 15th. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
And I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
It's movie time, as the popcorn alluded to. Time to discuss John Wick Chapter 4 on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher!
And of course, you can find links to this podcast each and every week on our Facebook page.
Also, check out the Sports Edition, which drops on Thursday mornings. You'll find all of our picks for our various sports competitions on the Facebook page.
All right, I will take the hit on this because I have had to delay the John Wick review as much as I wanted to go see it right out of the gate like you did. You've been very nice, very accommodating, very patient with me. I did come through. I did finally get to see it.
Are you ready, Kevin?
This was 2 hours, 45 minutes of absolute action glory.
It was beautiful.
And I was one of the few, because we saw John Wick 3, Parabellum, together.
Yeah.
You and your family were nice enough to invite me along. And I didn't have quite the enthusiasm for Chapter 3 that you guys did. After 1 and 2 were just brilliant. This might be better than 1 and 2. Definitely better than 3. This might set a new standard for action movies. This is just brilliant. It is well done. I mean, there are scenes in this movie
that are just incredible cinematically.
We'll try not to spoil, but
there's an overhead view of a building, room to room, with a running gunfight. That shot is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's a special gun involved that kind of accentuates what you're looking at as you're looking from above, looking down into this maze of rooms in this building. The dragon's breath gun.
The shells.
Yes, that
Whew.
that really makes things a lot more interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it'll light up your life.
And then there is another scene towards the climax of the movie involving a massive amount of steps to get to the final battle, let's say, that end up the steps end up becoming a character in the movie almost.
They are in and of themselves a movie. It's just the running battles, the characters, the interaction. It's just so much fun. It brings everybody comes into play that you've seen before. Past friendships,
new characters, new
villains, but everything just melds beautifully together.
And the thing is, again, like we talked about last segment with Metallica, 7+ minute song where you're never bored with it.
This did not feel like a 2 hour and 45-minute movie.
No.
Not even close.
It passed the butt test. Where if my butt starts to hurt, then the movie is starting to lose me. This, now, it doesn't pass the bladder test.
No.
2 hours, you're going to have to go at some point. So, but, I mean, you right from the get-go, you are shocked. You are shocked with what happens. There are shocking events. Again, don't want to be a spoiler here.
No, but the Marquis is probably one of the most dislikable characters that we have ever run across.
Yes, he is definitely going to end up being in the upper pantheon, or I guess lower pantheon of movie villains.
Yeah.
But again, from beginning to end, this movie is nonstop. As Dave said, characters, the intertwining of their stories, new characters, characters from previous installments of the series come into play. Betrayals, alliances. It's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant.
And where can I get one of these Kevlar suits?
Yeah, there are some people online that were complaining about that aspect of the movie, and in that John Wick, seems to be able to withstand gunfights without ever getting hit by multiple cars,
thrown into buildings. It's the Kevlar suits.
This is called
suspend disbelief.
Yes, the willing suspension of disbelief, a movie term I learned back in college at the U.
Just go with it. Enjoy it for what it is. An all-out action blitz.
And again, I think
that is a visual treat to the eyes.
This could end up being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, action movie of all time. Now, one thing I am worried about, it takes a lot to sustain a series to 4 movies in. And the fact that they've been able to do this through 4 movies, the box office revenues keep going up. The quality is now at an all-time high through 4 movies. I don't want them to do a Die Hard.
No, don't crap the bed.
Because Die Hard through 4 movies was the same way. And then they did the 5th, and it all came crashing down. And I really do not want to have that happen to me again. It broke my heart how they destroyed that franchise.
Yeah, it was not good.
So if they continue with John Wick, please, you've I don't know how you're going to exceed 4, but you've got to at least try to get close.
Yeah, you cannot just do a money grab. You have got to be true to the series.
Now, stick around, of course, for the third segment. When we get there, we will talk about a trailer that I saw today for The Continental, which is coming in September to Peacock. But again, I cannot oversell this and how amazing this movie is.
This is the upper echelon of action movies.
And again, Dave and I have seen more than our fair share of great action movies throughout the 70s, the 80s. Now, John Wick, I give John Wick credit, the franchise credit for resuscitating the action movie, because we had about a decade there where there really wasn't a lot of good action out there.
No, there was a lot of really?
Probably from about the mid 1990s to the mid, about 2005 in there.
Yeah, there was a lot of fluff crap that just had potential but fell so short of the finish line.
Well, and that's right around the time where the action heroes from the 80s and the early 90s were falling out of favor in Hollywood. You couldn't get Steven Seagal, you couldn't get Arnold Schwarzenegger, you couldn't get Stallone because they weren't considered bankable. They were too old now.
Yeah. Until the Expendables came along.
And we've got the Expendables 4 coming later this year too.
Yes, we do.
So what's new was old. It's all come back around.
You just have to know how to do it. There's a formula that you don't screw with. And unfortunately, there was about a 10-year run where they lost that formula.
They lost the magic. They lost the mojo. Now, like I said, everything old is new again. We're getting the Expendables 4. We're getting Beverly Hills Cop 4 on Netflix later this year. Rumors are there's going to be another Lethal Weapon at some point.
Interesting.
Now, if we could just get Steven Seagal out of the fat suit, maybe we could get Nico back from those great movies from the 80s.
Oh, my God. Yes.
And then we'll find out if Jean-Claude Van Damme is still capable of doing anything.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything since the series, has he?
I don't think so. He got into that whole self-referential, making fun of himself thing.
Yeah, we had a nice little, what was it, a 6-part series?
Yep.
That about him and being a secret agent through his movies, and very fun ride.
Now Stallone's on the bounce back, of course, with Samaritan and Tulsa King and Expendables 4. He just signed a deal here within the last couple days with Amazon and Balboa Productions, so he'll be producing hopefully some good action stuff for Amazon while still doing Tulsa King for Paramount.
Yeah, very, very good series.
All right, before I get to Terrifier 2, and then we'll talk about horror movies, and we should warn the kids about
the Marvels.
The latest
bastardization.
Disney-fied Marvel failure. It looks like it is going to be the Marvels.
It looks so bad. It doesn't know if it wants to be a superhero movie or a remake of Freaky Friday.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about trailers here, especially in the third segment as we talk about the evolution of HBO Max. But yeah, the Marvels trailer also dropped here this week. Dave and I kind of looked at each other when the topic came up here off mic, and
we grabbed our heads and just go, what in God's name is this crap that they're doing?
And of course, we predicted this.
As soon
What's
as
going to
the
happen?
rat took over Marvel, we knew it was going to go down the toilet.
And what they're going to pull this year, where they're going to take credit for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 being a success. But again, that goes to James Gunn, not to Disney.
Right. James Gunn had this in the works before the rat took over. And he gave them the big double fingers saying, you are not touching my vision for this.
So again, they'll have a resurgence here in the summer.
Brief that it may be.
But the fact that this trailer looks so bad, so bad.
So bad.
On top of the relative failure of Quantumania. And then, of course, before that, the disappointment of Wakanda Forever. I'm sorry, I know it made a crap ton of money, but you've got to look at the fact that it still didn't even come close to making what the first Black Panther did.
Yeah.
The Eternals.
Ugh.
I mean, it's just Disney is doing exactly what Dave and I predicted that they were going to do to Marvel.
Destroy it.
All right. Kids movies. Talk real quick about the record-setting 5-day weekend for Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Why?
Here in America, in North America, 5-day, $204.6 million gross. Record-setting for an animated movie.
The only thing I can think is it happened, they dropped it during spring break, and parents were desperate to do something with their kids if they didn't want to travel. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, that $204.6 million, not only a record opening for an animated movie, but that $204.6 million through 5 days, already enough to make the Super Mario Brothers movie the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time through 5 days.
God, that's sad.
Now, when I went to see John Wick, it was the Friday with Mario Brothers being open. Now, I went to a really early show. I went to a 10:50 a.m. show.
And you had lines of kids.
Well, again, and we talked about this last week because it opened on the Wednesday. And when we did last week's episode, and I was still contemplating when to go see Wick, and they were bouncing around between, should we have John Wick on just one screen? Should we have it on 1.5? Should we have it on 2?
What are we going to do?
Because they were putting Super Mario Brothers on 8, 9 screens. So it was almost impossible to get away from it.
Ugh. I've seen the trailers, and there's nothing that looks remotely entertaining about it.
Again, something you and I have talked about, where the Pixar movies, when it comes to animated films, I'll watch a Pixar movie because I know they're not going to insult me. They're not going to talk down to me as an adult. They're going to keep it intelligent so that the kids can enjoy it, I can enjoy it, and even to an extent, the Minions, Despicable Me movies are like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I look at this and I have, even when it comes on streaming, I won't watch it. Why would I watch it? Why would I waste my time with this? There's nothing in this that looks like an adult would enjoy.
Not even close.
Now, movies that for adults only. And no, we're not talking about porn.
No, don't go there.
Yes, I watched the second Terrifier, Terrifier 2. And again, there is a part of the adult viewer that wants to be shocked. There is a part of us that wants to be titillated. There's a part of part of us that wants to be
Disturbed.
Very good. Yeah. It's not a pretty part of us. It's not a nice part of us, but it's there. And sometimes you need to feed the beast. And
that's why if there's an accident, everybody rubbernecks to see what happened.
And we've talked about Faces of Death because, of course, the news broke here within the last week or two that they're going to revamp it, reimagine Faces of Death. And that was in many ways, along with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left, those movies were the type of movies that we're looking at here nowadays with Terrifier and Terrifier 2. They go over the top. They are there to shock you in many ways. Plot be damned in some instances. All they want to show you is the most horrendously awful, gross out special effects and killings that you will ever see in a horror movie. Now, I reviewed Terrifier 1 last year because it was on Freevee. Now, the thing with Terrifier, the first one, was that it was more of a straightforward horror movie. It was more of a psycho killer stalking people and, pretty much disgustingly destroying them, killing them, ripping them to shreds one by one. But of course, the character, the killer, Art the Clown, now in the second one, they've tried to turn him into more of a Freddy Krueger type of character. People don't know if they're hallucinating because, of course, by all accounts, he was killed at the end of the first one. Oops, sorry. Terrifier's been out for ages. Deal with it. But was he really dead? We know how this works. We've seen it with Michael Myers. We have seen it with Freddy Krueger. We have seen it with Jason Voorhees. This is standard operating procedure for these type of movies. So, of course, is Art the Clown dead? Well, in the second one now, it almost plays out like he's a Freddy Krueger type. Does he inhabit dreams? Does he appear, as a vision at certain times? Do only certain people see him? Well, based on the carnage he leaves behind, he must be pretty real. But again, Freddy Krueger was technically not real.
Right.
So, again, Terrifier 2 takes on more of a supernatural vibe in that respect. But in the end, it is still the same old blood and guts. Let's see how far we can push things. How far can we push the envelope? How far can we gross people out? So you get it. You get that. And, you're kind of like trying to cover your eyes, but looking through your eyes at the same time, opening, to
it's
your fingers.
Really? Are you going there?
Exactly. Are you going there? Are you really going to go there? Oh, I can't believe they went there. So I'm going to give Terrifier 2 the exact same rating I gave the first one, which is 2 frenzies. Not the worst ever. And there are a lot of recent big budget, big studio productions. Smile comes to mind. That was awful. Awful beyond belief. This, at least, for what it's trying to do, succeeds to a certain extent. Now, again, you watch this movie, you will not feel good about yourself. You will not feel good about the people that made it. You will not feel good about life. But things will stick with you as they go over the top, crazy, absurd, Cannot believe they went that far with the gross out stuff. So take it for what you will. Take it for what it is.
If you're feeling ghoulish, take a shot.
Yep, you've got all the adjectives that I cannot seem to come up with. Ghoulish is perfect, yes. If you are feeling ghoulish, then check out Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Again, you will feel dirty. You will want to take a shower Oh, maybe not. I'm thinking about Psycho. But
Or is
again,
that the squeal like a pig from Deliverance?
yeah, great. Thanks, Dave. Just when I was starting to get the images from Terrifier 2 out of my mind, now I'm
Now you
picturing
think
Ned
Ned Beatty.
Beatty.
Just trying to help.
Yeah, thanks. I think I want to go back to Terrifier 2.
All right.
There you go, kids. That'll wrap up the movie segment here of Sports Frenzy 2.0. We'll move on to segment 3, talk about some of the shows we've been watching. Some we're slacking on, some we're up to date on. Lots of news, as I mentioned.
Some new things coming down the way.
Yep. The whole HBO Max Discovery Plus merger has been finally announced officially with pricing and debut dates.
So is it going to be called Discover Max?
No, they went really, really simplistic. Really simplistic on this. But we'll discuss.
We'll discuss.
Segment 3, we got a couple dumbasses, a couple moments of silence, along with our TV and streaming discussion. One more segment left on the weekend edition. Dave and I will be right back.
Stay tuned.
When the mindless zombies at the major sports networks won't leave you alone. When the forces of evil on local sports radio have you cornered. Load up the boomstick known as Sports Frenzy 2.0. Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. Kev Dave will drive the dull and boring voices in your head away and offer you the sports salvation you need. New episodes drop every Thursday. And don't forget the weekend edition every Saturday, where the maestro and the conquistador might just review your favorite horror flick. Sports Frenzy 2.0. It's groovy. All right, kids, third and final segment here, wrapping up your hangover cure Saturday morning, April the 15th, 2023. He's a conquistador, Dave Heights.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We've covered music. We have covered books. We have covered movies. It is time for TV and streaming. Now, before we get to discussing our shows, of course, there are some that we cover week by week, some that we are going to wrap up now. Others we are talking about, discussing whether or not we should watch them. But the big news coming out today, as we tape here on April the 12th, is the HBO Max Discovery Plus merger finalization. Press conference talking about what the name is going to be, talking about it's going to hit. The revamped new entity is going to be available on May the 23rd. It will simply be called Max.
Blah.
Now, the good news is pricing does not look like it's going to change all that much.
So what if you subscribe to HBO Max and you have a subscription to Discovery?
Then you would drop one of them to keep the other.
And then you just get...
Now, what they're doing here, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but again, because the prices aren't changing, I'm okay with it. I will end up getting Discovery Plus for the same price now that I'm already paying for HBO Max. So I'm kind of shocked they didn't jack the prices way up. But unlike Paramount Plus, where you can have Paramount Plus standalone, you don't have to have Showtime if you don't want to, as they've bundled those together now. They are going to let you, if you only want Discovery Plus, you can keep that separate. But if you want both, you might as well just get the Max subscription and dump the Discovery Plus. Because it's going to be $10
So just keep your HBO Max subscription.
Right. It'll just carry right over.
Okay, so we'll dump Discovery and we'll still get.
Right.
All right,
Yes.
whatever.
So somebody like me who just has HBO Max, I will now get both.
Okay, so you would still just say Discovery Plus and bring it up that way.
But there were a lot of, for some reason, there were a lot of people out there who were upset saying, I don't want HBO Max, but I want Discovery. They're going to let you keep that as a separate entity.
Okay.
But you can't have HBO Max as a separate entity. You have to take the full package. That's what she said.
But
so it'll still be $10 for the version with ads, $16 for the version without ads, and then $20 for the ultra high def feed with 4 subscriptions available, 4 feeds.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, the other ones only have 2. So you can have up to 2 people signed in with the $10 version, the $16 version, with the $20 version, Ultra K, 4 high def, with 4 subscriptions allowed.
What a pain in the ass.
4 sign-ins allowed.
What a pain in the ass.
Now, of course, as they are wont to do, these companies, when they announce something like this, they had to release a whole bunch of trailers and news about upcoming content to let you know, oh, this is what you're going to get with this new Max streaming entity.
Yeah, effed us on our favorites, so piss off.
So we've got new footage, a new trailer out there for The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell. Of course, he played the Penguin in Matt Reeves' The Batman with, Mr. Unwashed Twilight as Batman. Great movie, though.
It was really, very good much movie. Better than I would have ever
Robert
expected.
Pattinson, of course, is who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, again, I don't like to recommend too much to Dave because he gets a little fed up with me. But I have told him for years to check out True Detective. They did release the trailer for the 4th season of True Detective, Night Country, taking place up in Alaska.
There you go.
Jodie Foster investigating a murder that happened on the last night before the last sunset before the long night, where, of course, up in Alaska, they go for
6 months and 6 months
Yep.
type thing.
Yep. Now, if you care, on the day Max is born on May the 23rd, Shazam! Fury of the Gods will hit.
Does anybody really care?
And then, of course, they confirmed the Harry Potter news that we discussed. They have now set a timeline for it. They will have this Harry Potter series. They are making a 10-year commitment.
Good God.
The 7 books will run over 10 years on Max.
So stupid.
It's too soon. It's just too soon. I'm sorry.
It's a blatant money grab. It's pathetic.
Can you imagine what we're going to hear now over the coming months when it comes to casting? Who's going to play Harry Potter? Who's going to play Hermione? Who's going to play
Ron?
Yeah.
Who's going to be Dumbledore? Who's going to be Snape? Who's going to be Voldemort?
And, of course, everybody freaks out if they dare to make the slightest misstep.
These are beloved characters that are well established.
We will see.
We'll see how bad they F everything up.
We will see when the political correctness...
When Warner screws the pooch.
Sneaks in. The political correctness sneaks in. What will they do to piss off J.K. Rowling and her very, very conservative views when it comes to PC stuff?
And the staunch, rabid fan base.
Now, we talked about John Wick in the last segment. Peacock dropped a brief, like a mini trailer for the Continental coming in September, the 3-part prequel series.
Yeah. It's a very underwhelming trailer.
It's vague, very vague, very, very vague. Of course, set in the disco era, so the disco music was cool. But
you have that going for it, but
yeah,
we'll see.
There are no plot points, inclinations given to you in this minute-long trailer.
Nope.
Really, you get brief glimpses, I guess, of the characters that are going to be in this, but if they're not characters from the John Wick current timeline.
No, because it's a prequel, so get over that right off the bat.
And did you notice, as I talked to Dave about this, did you notice that the big star, Mel Gibson, wasn't in the trailer?
No, he was not.
That was kind of interesting. Why wouldn't you put Mel Gibson in there since he's the big star of this?
Good question.
All right, another show that I am into, that I have watched. Dave has read the books, but has not started watching the series yet. That would be Joe Pickett, based on the C.J. Box novels. The trailer for season 2 just dropped. Of course, Joe Pickett initially started out on Spectrum, and then Paramount Plus picked it up. Now it is strictly a Paramount Plus show. It will begin its second season on June the 4th with 2 episodes. I've already told Dave, I have read the stuff online about how it has upset a lot of the CJ Box fans, as they are not happy with some of the PC moves that they made with the Joe Pickett novels.
Why do they have to F with established characters? That's my question.
We ask that all the time, it seems like, don't we?
Yes, we do. And based on what we've discussed, there's stuff down the line, that story plots that they're not going to be able to touch as a result.
You know what I just realized? When we were talking about the Continental, I don't think we ever gave actual ratings to John Wick Chapter 4.
Oh, shit, we didn't, did we?
Well, it's a 4.
It's a 4.
It's a 4 frenzy.
It's a straight-up 4 frenzy movie. There you go. You had to wait. Delayed gratification.
And then finally, before we move on to our shows, of course, money grab. We know Stranger Things has one more season left before it comes to an end. But
we're not going to get it for another 5 years, so what does it really matter?
But is it coming to an end? Netflix has announced a Stranger Things animated series. Will begin development soon. But let's say this, Dave. Let's do this segue. Let's say this. If the animated series of Stranger Things is as good as Agent Elvis,
then we're in for a treat, kids.
See, you like how I did that?
That was a beautiful segue.
Our feature review for the week. Dave and I have finally both finished Season 1, 10 episodes of Agent Elvis on Netflix. I am still very upset with you people that you have not made this more popular.
This is a brilliant, brilliant show. Thank you, Priscilla Presley, for co-creating this visual, stunning, cultural reference-laden, shoot-'em-up, action-packed adventure.
Matthew McConaughey, of course, voices Elvis Presley. You've got Johnny Knoxville
voicing his buddy.
Yep. I mean, you got the monkey Scatter. Godspeed,
Godspeed, drunk monkey.
This is This is
Oh my
one of
God.
those shows, one of those animated shows to me, up there with South Park. I mean,
Oh, it's better.
it is so good. So good.
I've been recommending this to people.
Now,
I've warned them.
normally your sons in their early 20s, well, late teens, early 20s, would be all in on something like this, except because this takes place in the late 60s and the early 70s, they are not going to get the cultural references like we do.
Right.
The jokes about Robert Goulet and Dean Martin and Hervé Villachez and Jack Lord and all the Altamont, Richard Nixon, all that stuff.
The Vietnam stuff.
The
Charles Manson.
The constant references to Stanley Kubrick. But this is unbelievably well done, and I am so glad I took a chance on it. I wasn't really sure if I was going to watch it, and the minute I started in on episode 1, I was hooked.
Yeah, all you had to say was Agent Elvis based on, and I had to give it a shot, and boom.
Yeah, it is adult.
Very definitely much adult. There's language, there's nudity.
Yep. Yeah, it is not for
violence, lots of violence.
Yeah, it is not for anybody, I would say, under 17.
No.
I know that's probably old school thinking, but to me, I would say definitely
15 to 16 if they're mature enough to handle it.
So
know your kids, people.
Yes. I will give Agent Elvis season 1. Hopefully there will be a season 2.
There
Please.
Damn well better be a season 2.
Netflix, you better greenlight season 2 and do it quickly. I will give Agent Elvis a very strong 3.5 frenzies.
Agreed.
All right, of course.
God, you just have to bring... We have to see what Howard Hughes is going to do.
And of course, the voice of Howard Hughes is our old buddy Raffi from The League. One of the greatest shows of all time. Now, other shows, of course, we're behind on Gotham Knights. I will still get there eventually.
We'll get there. We'll give you a wrap up when it wraps.
Yep. Perry Mason through 6 episodes.
I missed this last one. I haven't gotten there yet. I was finishing up Gumshoe Rock.
Yep, I still have the same complaints. I don't want to be a broken record. I don't really want to be, but I have the same complaints about episode 6 from this past Monday that I've had over the past few weeks. So I will leave it at that. It's the same old stuff with Della Street and making Perry Mason look like a buffoon. And I'll leave it at that. And again, I will continue to watch because, again,
we want the
acting
story
is great, but it's just, again, another example of
PC
taking established characters, destroying them, doing something completely different with them. You know, trying to rip out the hearts of the people who loved those characters in their original incarnations.
Again, if this is the route you wanted to go, make new characters.
I have discovered Lucky Hank on AMC. This one kind of slipped through the cracks. I knew it was coming, but by the time I actually threw it on the DVR, it was already 3 episodes in. Now I believe it's 4 in. Of course, Lucky Hank is the new series featuring Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul and Nobody. And it is awesome. He plays the head of a English department at a small mid-level college, putting up with, you know, the PC faculty, putting up with the PC students, yet he is a bitter, late middle-aged man. Gee, I wonder if we can relate.
I think we might be able to.
And I'll tell you what, I'm into the 2nd episode. He deals with a lot of the same crap that we do when we talk here on Sports Frenzy and we rip into people. And this character, Hank, is he should be the 3rd person here on Sports Frenzy. talked about here possibly jumping on the bandwagon for the massive hit on Netflix, The Night Agent. I did start to watch the first episode the other night. Didn't get too far into it. I will tell you my problem with the show right now.
Already?
And it's got nothing to do with where the plot looks like it's going, or the story. That's all okay. And this is going to sound very superficial and very stupid, but I don't care. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't really gravitate to it in the first place when I initially saw it drop on Netflix. The lead actor just looks like a Ken doll. And I can't take that in my action heroes. You can't be that perfect, cute, good-looking dude. I'm sorry.
You have to have an edge to you.
You got to have a little bit of an edge. I mean, nobody's saying Ryan Gosling or Tom Cruise aren't good-looking guys, but they're a little bit more believable. This guy just looks like, I actually, believe it or not, we were talking about trailers earlier, right?
Yeah.
I actually went ahead and watched while I was rolling through all these trailers, and YouTube kept recommending new ones to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, don't judge me. Don't judge me.
Why? I always do.
I actually watched the trailer for Barbie. I just wanted to see what it looked like. This guy should be playing the Ken doll. This guy from The Night Agent should be the Ken doll. I look at him and he doesn't look like, this kind of secret agent, super spy type guy to me. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
All right. There we go.
I will still end up probably trying to watch it at some point.
And see where we're at.
Maybe I can get over this. I know, you can't get over Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher.
You can't get over John Krasinski as Jack Ryan.
There are just inherent prejudices, I guess, that we have. And these aren't even the bad prejudices. These are just silly, stupid, personal ones. And finally, before we get to moments of silence, good news for next episode. We will finally get to start wrapping up season 4 of Titans.
Finally. Well, finally, it's coming back. Crap that it's coming to an end.
And then, of course, after that,
the Doom Patrol.
We'll get the final half of season 4 of Doom Patrol. Again, the last season for that as well.
And as Cliff would say, fuck, 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 fuck.
Now, we talked about Harry Potter, right? Rumor is out there, and I find this very interesting. Somebody had a snarky comment about it, as they're looking for a showrunner for Harry Potter. Now, J.K. Rowling will be like the executive producer.
Yeah.
But they need somebody to actually run the whole thing. They're saying that it could be Greg Berlanti. And this comment I saw said, well, now we know why he went ahead and let DC fucking destroy his entire, or Warner Brothers destroy his entire DC vision, is because they're going to give him Harry Potter.
Well, there you go. There's your conspiracy.
All right. Moments of silence. Character actor Michael Lerner, one of those guys that you have to see his picture.
Oh, that guy.
Yep. You would know this guy once you saw him. Nominated for an Oscar for his role in Barton Fink. Michael Lerner passed away.
Yep. Barton Fink, one of those overrated movies.
It was okay. It was
very slow. It was kind of a slog.
The Coen brothers are always hit and miss, though. When they're on, they're really good. Lebowski.
Yeah.
When they're off, they can be really off.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you grew up in the same era as I did or Dave did, you, of course, remember Mad Magazine.
Yes, long-time contributor, cartoonist Al Jaffe has passed away. 102. Godspeed, Mr. Jaffe.
Yeah, known
Thoughts
for
of-
the fold out, the fold, what, the back cover was it? Where
Yeah.
it would fold out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Known for those illustrations.
Snappy answers to stupid questions. He also did a how to draw cartoon books that Scholastic had when you had the little things that you could buy the books through school.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he had one how to draw cartoons that I got when I was in like second grade.
Oh man, now you're throwing me back in the DeLorean with this, because man, I hadn't thought about that in so long. That was one of my favorite lost memories from school, was when they would
The
pass
book
out the
sales.
Scholastic, little Scholastic booklet,
Yep.
and you would check off, and then when the books would show up in the big box, and the teacher is trying to sort them, and you're waiting, come on, sort them, I want my books.
Yep.
Oh, that was a great memory of childhood. Now these kids, hey,
Once a year they have the book fairs and
yeah, hey, guess what? I took double dose of Ritalin.
On the music front, longtime guitarist from ABBA, Lars Wellinger, has passed away.
Yeah, not technically a member of ABBA though.
No, but they're guitarists. They were the singers. He was the musician behind them.
Somebody had to play the music.
Yep.
All right. Couple Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. Do not have a badass in the world of entertainment. But of course, we have got dumbasses. We seem to have them each and every week when it comes to Hollywood.
Coming out the ass.
We talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie, the animated movie. But now there's controversy involving the original Mario Brothers movie. Remember that one, the live action one, Dave?
Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. Would you like to tell the kids where Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, what their background is?
As far as
Bob Hoskins was an English gentleman.
Yeah, who playing an Italian
and John
plumber.
Leguizamo
John
was Hispanic.
Leguizamo's Hispanic, playing the Italian brother.
Yet John Leguizamo now has come out saying he is boycotting this new animated Super Mario Brothers movie because of its, quote, lack of diversity, unquote. But yet it was okay for him as a Latino
to play an Italian.
But now there's somehow a lack of diversity in an animated movie.
Whatever. Now I'm glad you went up the chimney in Violent Night.
And he's been getting a lot more militant about this stuff lately too, for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Whatever. Great actor. Is great in The Menu. We saw him in that recently.
He's good in what he does.
Yeah, but sounds like he's an absolute douchebag when he gets away from the camera.
Yeah.
Well, gets away from the movie camera, gets in front of a Twitter
when he gets on his
social
soapbox.
Media camera. Yeah. I did not see this. I did not pick up on this, but supposedly here recently the WWE used footage from Auschwitz in a hype video for Dominic Mysterio.
Oh God, no.
Yes.
No.
I don't know how that happened. Again, it's not something I picked up on.
Wow, that's just bad taste.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is awful.
Of course, they issued the requisite apologies, but still.
What idiot would even consider that?
because the character, I'm just telling you the background. I'm not making excuses. The character of Dominic Mysterio was recently, late last year, supposedly arrested and did hard time. So somehow when they were putting this hype video together, they wanted guard towers and barbed wire.
Oh my God.
So they picked footage from Auschwitz.
That is awful.
Yeah, it's stupid.
That is
Stupid beyond belief.
Brutal stupidity.
Then finally, we've talked about this recently in the past. We talked about our hatred for Hollywood celebrity Nepo babies. And we kind of experienced this a few years ago. And it's rearing its ugly head again. Now, I know you're not a big fan of the police, so setting that aside, Sting is going out for a short tour later on in 2023.
Okay.
And of course, we all know he's kind of a pretentious asshat to begin with.
Yes, he is.
Opening act for Sting on this tour coming up later in 2023, his son, Joe Sumner. Now,
does he have any talent?
Well, this is the thing. This is a very tricky situation because we saw Sammy Hagar a few years back and he had his son. Now, we had Night Ranger in between.
Right.
But his son opened the show. I just don't like it because, like, your question is valid. The first thing that pops into your head is, but is he talented? Is she talented? Are you taking a spot away where another more talented band or performer could get more notoriety, more exposure, but
right.
Instead you're picking your kid? That bothers me. That really bothers me. And Sammy Hagar's kid, I'm sorry, was trash.
He was not that good.
So if Joe Sumner is like that, then this is a terrible example of nepotism. He's Dave.
He's Kev.
Hope you got over your hangover. If not, hair of the dog.
You're just going to do it again, so what does it matter?
We will talk to you next week, kids, on the Weekend Edition. Take care.